What's going on, everybody? Hope you had an amazing Valentine's Day and hope you have a great week. I'm live streaming now to talk about what's been going on in American politics with Donald Trump. And I posed the question, is Donald Trump the new JFK? And I'm going to explain why. I'm going to talk about what's been going on with Flynn, the National Security Advisor to Donald Trump, who has been resigned or fired. And I just want to mention how I feel about it, what's going on, and just some truths from all sides, and then I'll take some questions. So, yesterday or 2 days ago, throughout the last couple of days, there's been a lot of controversy and a lot of talk, as there always is, because every single day is a new story, a new attack. So his National Security Advisor, I believe is the title, Flynn, has been removed for not revealing certain information from a talk that he had with Mike Pence. On a scale of things that have happened, it's very, 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 very minor, but as always, the media, blows everything out of proportion, and I have a lot to say on these topics, but I want to say a few things. Whether you like Donald Trump or not, what's going on is there's people within the NSA and the CIA that are actively working against Trump. You have the Washington Post, New York Times, a lot of these news organizations egging people on, saying if you work in the government, you can leak your documents to us. They've been saying that for months, and there's plans of some sort, people internally that are committing treason. However you feel about him or not, this is not a Chelsea Manning case. This is not an Edward Snowden case where they're whistleblowing because they have this really powerful information that's going to help people. It's not one of those cases. I'm all for a whistleblower that exposes crime within the government. That is very, very helpful to the people. I support Chelsea Manning and Edward Snowden if that's their goal, and nothing really terrible has come from either of those things. So this is not one of those cases, not even close. This is an all-out war on Donald Trump and his presidency. And let me remind, whether you like Donald Trump or not, once again, these agencies, the CIA and the NSA, that's who Edward Snowden was a whistleblower against, because he's like, they're doing so much illegal stuff against the people. The CIA, you could track their long history. Even progressives can agree that the CIA and the NSA do not have people's best interests at heart all the time. The CIA is responsible for a lot of drug use throughout America being transferred, a lot of war. There's a lot going on under the surface, and people just see, well, what he said to Russia was kind of bad. You have to understand, Hillary Clinton sold uranium to Russia. Uranium to build bombs, and nobody cared. Once again, it's like selective anger and negativity. But there's a bigger picture going on. They're on an all-out war. This has never happened in my lifetime, where part of the government is just on an all-out war against the current president. So this is not a coincidence. This didn't happen. If you've been paying attention, even before the election was over, it's been an all-out attack on Donald Trump. They've been using Russia. What's happening is the military-industrial complex runs our country, regardless of what you think, no matter how peaceful you are, no matter if you're a Republican or Democrat. The fact is the military-industrial complex runs our country. Most of our money goes to defense spending. When George Bush was overseas, companies like Halliburton and others were owned by people in the government, so they're going over there, they're starting war, they're selling weapons, they're building stuff, and they're paying themselves out. They're killing people in the process, and as you've seen with recent terrorism and the state of the Middle East and Europe, that it's not better. Nothing they've been doing has made it more safe. It's not getting better as far as terrorism's not disappearing. So this military-industrial complex, they don't want Trump to be there. Nobody does. That should be a big sign to people who've been rebellious for a lot. Once again, like I said, whether you like Donald Trump or not, the Republicans don't like him. John McCain doesn't like him. Clinton doesn't like him. The NSA, the CIA doesn't like him. That should be like a bing. That should be a light bulb to some people. Even if you're questionable about him, to be like, well, all of these people who've been perpetually starting war their entire lives, just pushing for war, murder, guns, war, weapons, drugs, killing, Americans are poor, stealing your money, the banks. All of these people don't want Trump there. And the weird part is a lot of people that are part of the resistance, they're actually fighting for the establishment. They're saying, I'm the resistance. I'm trying to resist at all costs. But if you noticed, all the people that real activists have been resisting for the last 20, 30 years, they're all against what's currently going on. And whether you think Donald Trump is dangerous or not, you have to understand these people that are fighting him are not good people. They want to perpetuate war. They've been, genetically modifying certain foods, and I don't want to get into that, whether I think it's okay or not, but not labeling it. They've been hiding what they've been doing to food. They've been hiding what they've been doing to water. They've been stealing your money. They've been supporting the banks. They've been supporting war. They've been supporting weapons. And they're against Donald Trump right now. So before you freak out and join that bandwagon, you really have to consider what's going on. And another point I want to point out about Michael Flynn is that there's something going on even deeper. I don't talk about it because, one, I don't feel comfortable talking about it. I'm not really trying to open up this can of worms, but I will say this is public information, so you could Google it, and millions of people are talking about it all the time, so I feel a little more comfortable now. You have Andrew Breitbart, who founded Breitbart.com. Andrew Breitbart had tweeted in 2011, before he died, that he said, "How is John Podesta not a household name? This progressive guru, he's covering up a giant world-class operation, pedophile, sex slave ring, and nobody knows about it." And he also talked about defending, he said, blacks in his tweet, that he felt the Democrats were being racist, and Andrew Breitbart himself was about to, self-proclaim that he was going to help the black community. And a month later, he died. There's something really coincidental going on. If you've looked into the Pizzagate conspiracy, it's got a ridiculous name, but if you look at all the evidence that's taken place, it's not a conspiracy. It's just things that are going on. You could look at them and decide what you believe or not. But Michael Flynn was talking about that a month ago. It seems like anybody who brings up John Podesta and what is, very likely to possibly going on is, killed or silenced or fired. So, and, anybody that's trying to not start war doesn't last. People can argue till the cows come home about what John F. Kennedy was trying to do, but it was not what certain world powers wanted him to do. So he was taken out. Donald Trump, he's trying to create peace with Russia. At the same time, he's trying to be hard on them. Like, he says about Netanyahu and Israel, Israel likes Trump a lot better than they like Obama. But even today in the press conference, Trump turned to him and says, I don't like what you're doing. And his face was like, whoa. But it's like, he respects Trump more. So if we want to have peace on the Israel-Palestine front, it's not going to be from somebody who doesn't respect the American president. It's going to be someone who is helping Israel like Trump does. They respect him for what he's doing. But at the same time, he's saying, I don't agree with what you're doing here. Trump talks about war. As far as Russia, like, regardless of what Bernie Sanders says and Hillary Clinton and all of these people, Hillary was on an all-out war path with Russia. She wanted to put up a no-fly zone, which Russia already said, you put up a no-fly zone, it's on. It's war on. Like, it's not even... and you listen to Putin talking, what he talks about, it's not rhetoric, it's not pandering to certain races and religion, trying to convince you if you're a woman or you're a person of color that you should support them. It's not the racist approach that the Democratic Party has. Putin has specifics. He says the United States has missiles. Look at a map of the Middle East. You look at World War II, watch a World War II documentary, and you see how Germany and Russia just started taking over certain areas. Look at a map of the Middle East, and you tell me if there's not a war going on. If World War III hasn't already happened, we're just so privileged that we don't see it. Because you look, man, we're upset with Iran, okay, as maybe we should be. That could be debated too, but look at a map around them. It's bang, 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 bang. There's U.S. bases everywhere. The war has begun. We're just so privileged we don't see it. So we're in the streets like, hey, Betsy DeVos, Jeff Sessions. It's like, okay, yeah, absolutely. We'll talk about that at another time too. But what about all this? Like, people are acting like this whole game that's being played doesn't exist. And we've been encroaching, the United States and NATO, we've been breaking laws. Like, we only point the finger, Russia's doing this and that. We're all over the place. We're all over the Middle East, setting up bases. We're involved in 7 wars in 7 different countries, and Hillary Clinton and probably any other Republican or Democrat, any other establishment person, would have continued the war with Russia. John McCain wants it. They all want it. So Donald Trump comes along and says, you know what, I'm not going to just listen to Russia, but I'm going to try to get along with them. I'm going to try to create peace, take out ISIS, handle Israel, trying to do what a president should probably do, and look how they react. And, you know, you're entitled to your opinion, but I'm telling you right now, these intelligence agencies, they've never had the American people's backs. They've been protecting banks. Obama bailed out the banks, you know, lost trillions of dollars. George Bush lost trillions of dollars. Trillions. We're talking trillions of dollars. Trillions. Not billions. Trillions. That's unfathomable amounts of money just gone. So if you think for a second that the establishment that's been running America for our entire lives cares about anybody, you're absolutely wrong. So think about it. Why would they be so upset about Michael Flynn? Why are they so upset about Donald Trump? They're trying to dismantle him at all costs. And I've said from the beginning, I've told people I didn't vote for Donald Trump personally. When he won, felt a little weird, but at the same time, I'm like, you know what? Thank goodness that Hillary Clinton was stopped, because she was on an all-out warpath from World War III. I knew this was going to happen. I'm like, we'll stop World War III. We might create tension within the United States, but this is necessary tension that we need to have and talk about and work out, because now, just like I thought, progressives and even people who aren't politically active, now they're politically active. They're involved. That's great. I just have to ask the people, you know, before you start marching on politicians and whatnot, you got to understand the big game that's being played worldwide within the United States and everything, because it's a lot deeper than just, you know, Betsy DeVos or Jeff Sessions or, you know, like one person that the New York Times told you to hate. And, you know, whether it's justified or not, you have to understand it's a small part of the puzzle, and the true story is not being told from these news sources. So everybody is freaking out, you know, about this, and I have to say, if it's going to be an all-out war on Donald Trump, I proudly stand with Donald J. Trump. I pray for him, and I hope that he stays safe and healthy. And at this point, I stand with him. If it's going to be an all-out war on him, because if he's so terrible, I haven't seen it yet. If he's really this terrible racist bigot that wants to destroy the world, why don't you just let him do something that's wild and then actually, you know, make a move at that point? But nothing's happened. It's been a month and people are overblowing everything. I trust the American people. If he does something racist, if he does something really bigoted, if he does something wild, you know, the American people will come together and Donald Trump will be removed. But what I don't want to happen, and what's currently happening, is they're trying to remove him at all costs. The CIA, the NSA, New York Times, Washington Post, MSNBC, Obama, Hillary Clinton, Republicans, Democrats, all of them. They're all snakes. They're all trying to remove him at all costs. And like I say to people, I would be cool to that if I was like, man, those are the old homies that, you know, they've been holding America down for a long, long time. And, you know, that's my people. Like, Donald Trump is crazy, and these are like these are not the good people. These are the people that have been wasting trillions of dollars. At any time, they literally could have gave a package to every single American. $10,000, $20,000, here you go, a tax break. Here's this, here's that. They've never done that. They haven't been helping small businesses. Small businesses are getting destroyed. Companies are getting destroyed. Corporations are taking over. The banks are taking over. And Obama co-signed all of that. George Bush co-signed all of that. Bill Clinton co-signed all of that. The old Bush, they're all part of the same chain. Donald Trump broke that chain, and I'm sorry, but I'm not convinced. I'm sorry, I'm not sorry. I'm not convinced that he's worse, because I'm not listening to words. Actions are more than words, and that Americans have this huge mentality of like they care about words more than action. Even during the election, I was trying to really figure out, because I was like, you know, Donald Trump scares me, but Hillary Clinton's like a really evil person, like with actions, not with words. She's great with words. Well, she's not great. She's a terrible public speaker, but, you know, as far as not offending anybody, apparently she's good in some people's eyes. But I'm like trying to see through the Trump stuff, and all I saw was the words. And then when I matched his actions, I'm not talking about mistakes he's made business-wise. Yes, he's affected families, you know, not done the greatest things at times. But I'm talking about actions. I'm talking about taking money from Saudi Arabia. I'm talking about selling uranium to Russia. Imagine if the American public cared years ago when Hillary Clinton sold uranium to them. You know, that's huge. That's a bombs. And now those same people that sold uranium are like, this guy's crazy because he left out a minor detail talking to Mike Pence. They made Trump fire him because it's part of a huge play to just dismantle. They're trying to dismantle him at all costs. And I'm all for dismantling something that needs to be dismantled to help people, but I'm not convinced that it's going to help anybody. And I know a lot of progressives, a lot of good people, they don't like the military-industrial complex, but they don't like Donald Trump. I have to really ask you, I would love to sit down with people like Cornel West. I'd love to sit down with the Young Turks, with Jimmy Dore, with Lee Camp, all of these people who are anti-military-industrial complex and anti-Donald Trump at the same time. And I understand that both can be evil at the same time, but I'm listening to them. I'm listening to all sides. And to me, it's just like, I stand with this guy. I support this guy as of now. If he takes it to an ultra-fascist level of like corruption and whatnot, of course I'll stand against it, but you need a solution to replace a problem. Okay, Donald Trump isn't a problem. You could argue that he's a symptom, but he's not the problem. He's not the root problem. Everyone's treating him like the root problem, and you need a solution before you replace a problem. And I'm sorry, but progressives, even all of these progressive news sources that I love and watch, they don't have a solution. They have a solution in their head, but they don't have a tangible solution to deliver. And right now, progressives are fighting the DNC. You have like a lot of progressives who own news sources who are, it's like 50-50. It's like the progressives versus the corporate Democrats. And it's like, focus on that, win that, because they might not even win the DNC chair. And the Democrats are pushing at all costs. And right now, if Donald Trump goes down and his cabinet goes down, the people that are going to replace them are not going to be good people. They're just not. And it's a coincidence to me that anybody who talks about John Podesta talks about what is very likely going on, and it's a subject that's just such an ugly subject that you never want to just project and you never want to be the person. But at the same time, there's a lot of arrests going on right now in the United States. I know they said Sandusky's son got arrested. 400 plus people have been arrested. There's a lot of crackdowns on like huge child sex operations that are going on that nobody knows about, that are not just little, like instances. It's like a whole operation of like, massive like shadow groups and businesses that are, really harmful to innocent kids and young kids. We're not talking about almost 18. I'm talking about like 9-year-olds and 7-year-olds. Like, this is a sad reality that is very possible to exist. And I'm all about not just guessing and not pointing the finger, but why is that? We know that it's happened before. Why is it like so not talked about? And another coincidence on top of the fact that, all right, Andrew Breitbart brought it up, dead in a month. Flynn brings it up, kicked out of the government. Hillary Clinton even tweeted about it herself yesterday. She had a retweet and she was like, I don't like to be funny, but just saying, like, that fake news is really dangerous. It seems like a lot of information is going to be revealed very soon, and it seems like they're trying to get Donald Trump at all costs. And people think it's because they're trying to help people, it's because of racism. It's none of that. Nobody's trying to get, none of these government, none of these politicians, they're not trying to save you from racism and bigotry. Are you kidding me? They're trying to status quo, business as usual, start wars. Trump is a massive threat to the military-industrial complex because they have a whole path. It's like kill, 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 fight, 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 fight. Send the poor people, send the middle class overseas to fight the wars for them. Take all the money, increase terrorism. Act like, hey, I'm going to stop that group. Meanwhile, they're funding that group. Obama was funding the group that he said he was stopping. Like, this is real life. These are real situations. This isn't conspiracy news. You have major publications releasing this information. During the Obama administration, they were caught spending $500 million to a British PR agency to make fake Al-Qaeda videos and fake terrorist videos. $500 million the U.S. government was paying to a British PR firm to make fake propaganda videos. And it's the same thing with Donald Trump. I have to ask, if there's so much real terrorism, which, there is, it's happening overseas, then why can't you just take one of their videos and use it? Why do you have to spend $500 million to make fake propaganda if it already exists? Why do you have to do all of these little things to Donald Trump to try to get him out of office if he's this terrible person? If he's this terrible person, let him go. But and a lot of people don't understand this. A lot of people don't want to admit it. We've been living in a veil. life is beautiful, life is amazing. I wouldn't change it for a thing. I feel incredibly blessed. Much love to all presidents and politicians who came before. It is what it is. It's all part of the puzzle. But I don't think people understand how low the bar has been set. Like, people think presidents, because they've spoken very nice, because they've been very, like, the fiscal report showed that we're down 5%, and like they say all the right words. They say all the right things to not offend anybody, to convince you that everything's completely normal, completely okay. But people think the past politics bar was here, but it wasn't. It was down here. So even all of the wild stuff Donald Trump said, I'm like, can he not lose $5 trillion? If he just doesn't lose $5 trillion, he'll be, a better president than a lot of these other people who've been literally just funding wars and losing trillions. I'm going to make a video later about, I don't want to spoil it, but it's pretty eye-opening. And nobody understands that. Like, no one understands that our food, you go to Europe, they look at our food and they're like, Americans don't eat real food. Like, it's not, like, we don't like contaminate our stuff like that. We use fresher stuff. Like, they think that we're weird, but we just like go about our day and really think that that's completely normal. The veil has been so strong that we don't understand that it's not that hard to raise the bar, and Trump is trying to raise the bar. He's trying to help people. You could say that maybe he's not. He has this mean, evil thing, but come on. The man had billions of dollars, properties all over the place. He's currently trying to get jobs. I'm a person where money isn't everything, so you're not really speaking to me when you're saying jobs. It's like, okay, relax. Money's not everything. But at the same time, as far as the economy, money is everything, because once the economy collapses, a lot of people will be hurt. And Obama spoke very nice. He was possibly funding terrorism by mistake or purposely, funding fake Al-Qaeda videos, paying off PR firms, doing a lot of, undercover stuff. Meanwhile, the economy has been, like, it's a bubble waiting to burst. Like, it bursted in 2008, and they bailed out the banks. The banks purposely watched The Big Short. Got Brad Pitt, Christian Bale, Steve Carell, a lot of great guys. And it's a completely true story. Like, it's 100% true story of, they purposely made the banks fail, the banks exploded, and then they just get bailed out. They purposely do it because there's no accountability. They're doing it again on possibly an even bigger scale. So you don't realize it. It's like, dun 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 dun, crash, blame Bush, dun 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 dun, crash, blame Trump, dun 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 dun, crash, blame Obama. It's a giant finger pointing game. It's like every time, every president lets it build up to crash, and then everybody goes and blames the new president, like, or the last one. Like, there's always a game. It's like, it's Bush, it's Obama, it's Clinton, and he started it. It's a giant finger pointing game because we've never had someone outside of that barrier. So Obama has been setting up this crash. Look at the stats. It's been 10 plus years. You know how expensive everything is. If you live in a city or not a city, look how quickly every month rent goes up. Every month food goes up. Every month, gas, it fluctuates, but everything is just on a steady rise. And average income is down. Average family income is down. How does that happen? It's a bubble waiting to burst. We're trillions of dollars in debt, yet the average income is down. It's a bubble that's been waiting to burst. So Trump's out there, and you could listen to Ron Paul. You could listen to people that don't co-sign everything he's doing, but are very for the people. They don't like war, but listen to them on an economic basis of, he's helping. He's trying to get jobs. He's trying to get as much money as quickly to soften the blow, because the blow is coming. I don't think people are it's going to be mass chaos. I'm a very positive, optimistic person, but it's coming. It's been set up, and all these people in the streets, no one realizes it. Like the military-industrial complex, they probably don't even know what that is. And if they do, then why are you siding with the CIA and the NSA, who are trying to get Donald Trump out at all costs? And look at Hillary Clinton's tweets. In a week or two, we're going to find out it's because of something that has nothing to do with helping you. It has nothing to do with Donald Trump's dangerous. It has a lot to do with some things that are probably going to be revealed soon, i.e. what Michael Flynn said, what Andrew Breitbart said, what Hillary Clinton herself is talking about. Why would she talk about it if it's dead in the water? It's because things are being revealed. They're on a massive, the police are doing more than they have in a long time, because now they have the cosign of like, oh, we're actually trying to help now. We're actually trying to do things. I thought we were just lying to people out of the crackdowns, I believe. Well, first of all, I've talked about this a lot. Obama deported 2.5 to 3.5 million illegal immigrants, and now the New York Times and Washington Post, even Our Revolution by Bernie Sanders, I get this email that says, Lupita, like literally use the name Lupita, talking about a story where I'm all for compassion and individual stories, but they're cherry picking stories that agree with their agenda, where it's like, come on, we've been deporting people for a long time, and there's a crackdown out here, and it was 75% criminals. So people don't realize that's how easy it's been. Like I said, I have family that is legal, that is from Mexico, that was at one time, came over, worked, got visas and whatnot, and it's getting out of hand. Just because they're politically and racially pandering to you, 75, so that means that there's already so many people that are not only illegal immigrants with no documentation, no visa, no nothing, but they're criminals. Like, they've literally been arrested with no documents, and they're still allowed to stay. Like, what are we? A nation of no laws? And they know this coming over. It's like a candy store. Albeit it's hard. I'm not saying it's the greatest thing in the world, but you come over here, you can commit a crime. You don't have to pay anything. You can get fake credit cards. You can get all sorts of fake money. And worst comes to worst, you just go back home. You send all the money back to your family, make money, live here, and then worst comes to worst, you go home. The whole system is broken. And people think, in the news now, they're doing any way they can manipulate you, they're trying. Like, do you care about race? Do you care? Yeah, of course. Where do you think that the New York Times and the Washington Post and Obama and Hillary Clinton and all of these politicians and all of these news sources, do you really think they care about illegal families? Do you think they care about Mexican families? They don't. They don't at all. Because if they did, where were they 8 years ago when everyone was getting deported? They're using it. They're like, do you care about this? Does this strike a chord with you? Does this strike a chord with you? Does Russia strike a chord with you? It's the same thing. Ask people who don't even support Donald Trump. It's McCarthyism with the Russia stuff as well. It's like a Red Scare. That's the same. It's history repeating itself. They're using it as fodder. If you would have talked to people 2 years ago, what do you think's better? Starting a war with Russia or attempting to get along with them and getting on the same page? You'd have everybody say, well, getting on the same page would be a better, that'd be a better solution, if a possibility. But now, after all of this media push and all of this McCarthyism, you literally have half the nation who's like, well, yeah, I think I want to start a war with Russia. And Trump, there's literally street art in Los Angeles of Donald Trump kissing Putin. Like, it's like when the dude is a little hateful, everybody's like, this man is hateful, he's a bigot. And then when he gets along with somebody, he's making out with him in street art, and he's like a sexual predator to Putin. Like, oh, he's going to have sex with it. Like, it's like, you bully this guy into oblivion. Pick a side. If you're pro-compassion, then you should be happy when people are getting along. And I'm going to touch it in my later video, but we have to understand also, if you look at history and even these older politicians, like your McCain's and, these people, this is how the world was. Like, we have to be compassionate to our older people because we're so privileged to live right now that, like, peace is even an option. Like, that's a new privilege to any person that's living the earth right now. It's like, man, we have the communication and the technology and the option to stop fighting. That was never an option because back then you didn't have communication. You couldn't talk to each other. Everybody was just paranoid. Everybody was scared, and rightfully so, because everybody was coming after each other. We didn't have a way to talk and realize it was stupid and worthless and pointless. The Russians were scared. The Germans were scared. The U.S. was scared. Everybody was scared because everyone was literally killing each other and raping each other. And this is real life. You look at World War II, that's what happened. People killed and raped. Like, you think about Hitler and you're like, man, that's just crazy. That's like way in history. But it's not way in history. It's less than 100 years ago. All of this stuff just happened. And it happened in the lifespan of some people that are living today. So listen to what they have to say. Listen to their perspective, because this is very, very real. So we have to understand, Donald Trump is somebody, as a blessing, that he wasn't at war his whole life, because he's been a businessman. So he's not been in politics. He's not been a warmonger. He's been well off. He's probably our best bet to stop war. I mean, even with Israel, the way he talks to Israel, everyone can spin it the way they want to, but I always read, I'm like, oh, dear Lord, what did he say to Israel? And then I watch it myself, and it's like he plays with Israel, like he plays into them. He shows them love. He shows them, like, I'm going to help you. I won't let you get taken over by terrorism or attacks. But at the same time, he's like, I don't agree with this. I don't appreciate this. So he's trying to finessed the situation, it's like in a really smart way, honestly, that no other politicians want. They want war. They're warmongers. They've had war their whole life, and I even have compassion for them. I understand why they're like that, because they've done so much messed up stuff. Hillary Clinton has killed Gaddafi. Africans hate her. You know, a lot of African leaders in America can't stand her. If you trace back to what Bill Clinton did, simultaneously he did the media conglomerates. He let all the media conglomerate to be like 90-something% of what's going on. He did NAFTA. He sent jobs overseas and hurt a lot of American workers. And then his crime bill decimated, poor whites and also Latinos and, people of darker skin got decimated by Bill Clinton's crime bill. So that's why they're upset. They've been starting war. They've been destroying families. They've been sending jobs overseas. This is all stuff that the Clintons have done. So now, why do you think they're mad? Because this is going against everything. Why do you think they're upset? Why do you think they're saying fake news? It's because when Bill Clinton was president, they consolidated all of the media. And all the media works together. I mean, I've been talking about it my whole life. Since 2008, I've known this. And no one cared then. Everybody cares now. But the media owns the radio stations. They own all the TV stations. It's like 4 or 5 companies, 6 companies that own 90%. And it's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. But the internet, now it allows a voice like mine, or an independent voice, a bipartisan voice, someone I'm not paid by any. I don't have to listen to anybody because no one pays me. I take donations from time to time. I make some royalties here or there, but I'm not tied to any corporations. And I literally say how I feel, and I truly want to help people. So what would make them more mad than that? That's why they're furious, because they don't want that. They want everybody to listen to the same news sources. That they made that happen. Bill Clinton made that happen. So why do you think it's a continuation of war? We own everything. Now they don't own everything. So be very cautious when you say you're the resistance. I'm the resistance. I'm fighting the resistance. We've broken through the New York Times, the Washington Post, MSNBC, the intelligence agencies. These are the establishment that's been suppressing and oppressing people for a long time, and we're breaking through that, and you're fighting against the movement that's breaking through that. It's really interesting deception, but when they say, if you're on the board, if you're retweeting Hillary Clinton, like you got to really look at history, look at the present, and consider who you're supporting, what you're doing, because the people that think they're fueling the revolution are stopping the revolution. They're like, here, corporations, take all the power. Oh, if you say fake news, if you go along with the fake news rhetoric, oh yeah, fake news is real, it's the reason that the election, you're helping the corporations that want to control everything again. They want to control thought, literally, the thought. And nothing bothers them more now that the entire public opinion cannot be controlled. It's very swayed, and that's why it's so aggressive. That's why Flynn is getting taken out. They're trying to JFK Donald Trump. They are. So that's why I made this video with the title, "Is Donald Trump the new JFK?" Because they're trying to JFK Trump in an aggressive way. They're trying to strategically, any sort of way. So I pray for Donald Trump, because they're taking out little pieces. They're infiltrating. What they did was treason. It wasn't Edward Snowden treason. It wasn't Chelsea Manning treason. It wasn't like, oh, this is a big revelation for the American people. I support what Edward Snowden did. And I think he did it for the right reasons. But this was not that type of treason. It's like a get Trump out at all costs, And you have to understand, when I say all costs, they'll do whatever. They don't care. They'll start, they want a war. They want a coup. And you have celebrities calling for it. It's ridiculous. And these are the celebrities that say they're standing up for the people. Like, it's mind-blowing deception. And I have to say, more now than ever, that I see how people are acting, I stand with Donald Trump, and I support him until further notice. Because if it's going to be an all-out war where they're taking out pieces of his administration who have nothing to do with, it's not like they're taking him out to help people. They're taking him out to try to put someone else in there that they can control more. They're trying to pay people within the NSA and the CIA to regain power to the establishment, and also to put our lives at risk. That's what they're doing. Before they talk about Edward Snowden and Chelsea Manning, they're like, man, Edward Snowden can't come overseas. Obama didn't let him back. They don't like whistleblowers. But now all of a sudden that Trump's president, it's like whistleblow. And Trump is guilty of that as well, as far as the Russia stuff. But look at what came out from the Russian hacks and the Podesta hacks. And I'm telling you, when all of this comes out, I'm not going to talk about it that much, but you will see what I'm talking about. You will see why WikiLeaks released Podesta specifically for the content of the emails, because it's a lot deeper and it's been going on for a longer time than people understand. And I've been watching some documentaries, like I said, about World War II recently, and there's a lot of similarities. The only difference is now we have communication. So where we have bases all over the place, it's like this war is happening. It's just a lot more subtle. Back then it was tanks, guns. Everybody knew we're at war. Now we have communication. So everybody's like moving across the chessboard, but very hesitant. But we have a chance for world peace. We have it because we have communication. And we have to understand that all of these world leaders are paranoid. What they've done over the last 50 years has been egregious. It's been a lot of war, and who could really blame them? I don't like war, but it's like back in the day, that's just how it was. If you didn't kill, you were going to get killed, or you might get killed. It's a very, very crazy game. We didn't have this type of communication. We didn't realize that we could coexist. So I'll take a few questions and I'm going to take off. That's my take on Flynn, what's going on in the world. And when people say, well, why do you support this? I'm watching everything. I'm watching progressive news. I'm watching conservative news. I'm watching mainstream news. And these are my feelings. These are my thoughts. I stand with Donald Trump. I support him until further notice. And I do not support the NSA and the CIA turning against him, because I've been passionate my whole life about the fact that Latinos and people with darker skin, African Americans, have been getting disproportionately jailed. Okay? So I'm the opposite of racist. I've been actively trying to look for solutions for people who have been the target of racism. And these agencies, the CIA and the NSA, are not your friends. They're not your friends if you're African American. They're not your friend if you're Latino. They're not your friend if you're mixed, or you're European, or you're white, or whatever color of skin you have, whatever religion. These are not your friends. These are the people who have made it their entire lives to oppress you, to lie to you, to take drugs from other countries, to kill regimes, to topple regimes, to sell weapons, to start wars, to, lie about the state of terrorism and not fully face the facts. So these agencies that are working against Donald Trump, it's another red flag to me. I saw during the election, Republicans and Democrats didn't support Donald Trump. He's not part of that game. He's an outsider, but he's just strong enough to get through. And I don't know his intentions. I don't know what he wants to do, but even what he's already done, and he showed that he doesn't care about being politically correct. He wants to help people. He doesn't care that the media is going to pander to Latinos. He wants to save Latinos in this country and other people, because you can't let millions of people come to the country, commit crimes, and they're illegal immigrants who are literally convicted felons, and nobody cares. You can't let over refugees in the 500,000 rates. Look what's happening in Europe, and Obama has been funding terrorists in these things. So when you have a really, for lack of a better term, evil regime that's funding terrorism in these countries and bombing and drone striking civilians and innocent families, I'm not saying to leave them out to dry too, but there's other options. They don't want to leave these countries. You go to Syria, listen to what Tulsi Gabbard says. She said none of them want to leave. They don't want to come here. They just ask, every single person she talked to asked, just tell the U.S. to stop arming terrorists and stop bombing us. They don't want to come here. And everybody's marching in the streets over something they don't even know. So just stop. And Trump has shown every signs of wanting to stop that. He wants to work with Russia. He wants to actually stop ISIS instead of funding it and giving them tanks and weapons and oil. He wants to secure the borders. He wants to make this a great place. I don't agree with his slogan of again, because there's a lot of racial and undertones, and it's very easy to be misinterpreted and used against him. So I don't think it was the greatest slogan, but in the sense, he's trying to make this country better and help people. And a lot of people don't realize it because they can't read through the lines, and I see it. Even what he did, I've never seen a president just try to get companies back, and they could spend everything. If he goes on vacation, and he asks for a lot of it himself because he tweets nonstop, and he's been doing it for years, but it's like when he helps get jobs back, it's like, well, he gave them a tax break. It's like, this dude can't win. He's trying to stop the massive economic collapse that's impending that nobody realizes because nobody can see through the lines. Everybody's like, oh, I'm trying to stop Jeff Sessions. It's like, well, what do you know about the world banks? What do you know about the central bank? What do you know about the Federal Reserve? And what do you know about debt? What do you know about the economy? What do you know about what's been happening? What do you know about trillions of dollars being wasted? What do you know about selling uranium to Russia? Like all of these offenses that they're talking about that Trump is so terrible for, they've been doing 30 times worse your entire lives. They just never told you about it. All of these little news publications, instead of telling you what's going on and exposing it like they're doing to Trump, they've hid it. They've acted as a giant PR team for all of this negative corruption. So, what do you think they're going to do when someone comes along and tries to not have war? They make all their money on war. The United States, all of these politicians, Hillary Clinton, they're war hawks. Hillary Clinton is a savage. And I feel bad for women because there's so many smart, beautiful, intelligent women out there, and Hillary Clinton is not one of them. So to brainwash the American public like they always do, poor women, they sell beauty ads. They always tell you, you're not beautiful enough. You got to wear makeup. The American society is terrible to its women. They give them rights and whatnot. Absolutely. We let our women be free, but it's like, and then they've spent $200 million to convince women that Hillary Clinton is like the be-all, end-all woman. Look at Jill Stein. Look at Tulsi Gabbard. Hundreds of thousands of millions of beautiful, smart, intelligent women, and they convinced the American public that Hillary Clinton is a war hawk. She is a criminal. She is, and there's 70,000 plus people retweeting her every word. It's a mind-blowing deception. These people run on war. So what do you think they're going to do when someone comes in that doesn't want war, that wants to help people, that wants to create peace overseas and get jobs and prosperity back to the American people? What do you think they're going to try to do? You think it's because they're trying to help you? No, they spent their entire lives lying to you, starting war, making money off war, stealing all the money in America, and convincing you via race, religion, and pandering that that's okay. Like, people think that's okay because they just don't even consider it. And it wasn't like this all the time. When Trump says, make America great again, of course it has racial implications that he probably should have thought about if he was trying to convince everybody. I don't think it's a great slogan, but you have to understand, in the 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s for American families, if you worked a full-time job, you can afford a car, you can afford a house. Like, this debt, this is a new thing. This is not normal. Like, money is creative. The economy, it's all numbers. It's a number game. So the fact that the average family makes $20,000 a year and is $60,000 in debt, there's a red flag. The average family is more in debt. It's modern day slavery. You're in debt. You're indebted to something that doesn't even exist. It's a mind-blowing deception, and I can't stand for it. I say my piece. I'm very candid about a lot of things, but I feel like they're trying to JFK Trump, and if that's the case, if they're on an all-out war path against Donald Trump, where they're literally going to be treasonous and release information and documents that doesn't help anybody, I could not be more pro Donald Trump. I pray for him. God bless him, and this is my official cosign of I've weighed both sides. I didn't vote for him. I see what's going on, and right now I just can't be a part of the resistance. I can't support what the CIA and the NSA is doing. If we want to stop Donald Trump from doing terrible things, we have to be honest about it. We can't just nitpick anything, because if I go to your job, no matter how terrible you are or good you are, and I nitpick everything and get all of the press there and just try to drag you down, I could drag you down. You know what I'm saying? I'm strong enough, I could drag you down. I can make it so you can't do anything. And we could do that to anybody. So that's our approach to Donald Trump, and when he falls, everyone's going to be like, I told you so. It's not because he fell, it's because you dragged him down. I mean, that's how the world works. Like, the fact that he hasn't been dragged down yet is incredible. Like, there's something divine going on, because amongst all of this negativity and hate and misinformation and intelligence agencies and conglomerates built by the Clintons via media, celebrities, you have protests that are counterproductive to what they're trying to accomplish. He's still there. He's still going, and they're going to try to take him out. And I don't know if it's going to be physically, administration-wise, but it's happening. And they're trying to take him out in the name of war with Russia. Like, John McCain's freaking out. That's a Republican. Democrats, progressives, remember how much you hate Republicans? Remember? These Republicans don't like Donald Trump. Nobody does. Paul Ryan is a snake. None of them like him. Trump is using them. They're trying to use him to push the agenda, but Trump doesn't agree. Trump is finessing his way through everything. People are calling him dumb. He makes a lot of mistakes. I know he tweeted or Instagrammed a picture of Abraham Lincoln with a false quote. It was hilarious and silly, and he should probably delete it. Someone on his team should tell him that's not a true Abraham Lincoln quote, but he's not a Republican. He's just not. If he was, do you think there would be this much backlash towards him? So this is how I feel. I know a lot of people feel the same way, and I'm going to proudly continue to tell the truth and the facts, because I'm not trying to see a coup. I'm not trying to see treason. I'm not trying to see mass chaos and a return of the establishment who just wants the military-industrial complex to take over and continue to drive you into poverty, to continue to take money from your families, to continue to use race and religion and gender to convince people that they're not getting completely played and stolen from. I'm not for it. So that's my thoughts on this. I'm going to take off in a second, and just to let you know, if you like the message, you like what I'm doing here, I'm going to put a donate link below, and it's now pinned to my page, and if you click learn more on my page, it'll go to that too. I'm trying to be funded by the people, and I've seen them pay politicians $180 million like Bernie Sanders, and I don't need that much money. I don't have an agenda. I don't have people to pay off. I just need to live, and I work other jobs. I've worked 3-4 jobs at a time while I'm doing this. So the more I get, the more I can focus on myself. I could get better equipment. I could get more time, importantly. And a lot of this I've done with very limited time. I've worked 100-hour weeks. I go nonstop. I edit myself. I put captions. I do everything myself. That's why the posts are so authentic. It's because I don't have a team. I'm not just posting it because I think we get a lot of shares. Every post I really think about, and it goes through a vetting process in my mind of like, is this going to help people? Is this true? Is this a force? So I do a lot of work, and I want to continue to do it, and I want to continue to push it into a full-time. I want to do a podcast. I want to do interviews. I want to get a new apartment and set up and interview everybody. I want to interview Republicans, Democrats, progressives. I want to get to the truth. I want to talk to good people, artists, anybody great that has something to share, a perspective, have real conversations, and bring that to you. And, we're already putting up bigger numbers. I probably reach more people than CNN and MSNBC. So and I do it with a cell phone. So it's a beautiful time to be alive. Don't buy into the negativity, and as always, just do something good for the world. Don't wait for the government to do it for you. Enjoy your life. These are the greatest times to be alive, and it can get stressful at times, but it's a beautiful, beautiful world. You're beautiful people. Everybody's beautiful. It's just a lot of people are very hurt and lost, and there's a lot of fear and paranoia and negativity in the air, but break through it on a personal level and stay vigilant, stay aware. So I'm going to post that link below, and I'm going to make a new video later tomorrow. I'm nonstop. I do as much as I can to and from work, but I can't stop. Now is a great time to be alive. We've officially pushed past the huge conglomerate that controls people's thoughts, emotions, and everything, and it's a fight, but I truly believe the light is cracked open, and it's too late. It's too spread. You could take out Donald Trump. You could take out certain YouTubers, but you can't kill a thought. You can't kill an idea, and you can't kill a movement. So it's too strong. The light is too pure, and goodness and justice will come to the people. We've been on a progressive scale, getting better and better, and it's only going to get better. It might get a little weird. It might get a little ugly, but I truly believe that we're gonna break through, and we already are. So have a good week. Don't let the news stress you out. Don't let it bother you. Just think about what you could do. Think about how you can make a difference, and then we got to leave it alone. So all right, take care, guys. Have a good day.